Hi, it's Chris Murray with Child Care Marketing, and in this week's video lesson I'm going to teach you about, some of you might consider this to be a basic topic, but there's still some wisdom in this topic, so even if you're an advanced child care owner, listen up. What we're going to talk about today is something called full-time equivalent, and many of you are tracking full-time equivalent, otherwise known as FTE, in your program. But many of you are not, and even some of you who are more advanced owners and directors who manage 2 or 3 or 4 or more locations aren't really fully tracking your FTE the way you need to be. Why is this important? Why is this potentially a game changer for you? Because there's a lot of revenue and money that you're leaving on the table when you don't track your enrollment by full-time equivalent. And let me explain an example for you. One of my private coaching clients that I work with, he actually recently, just yesterday we were on the phone, and we discovered that in the last 3 or 4 months since we've been working together, he increased his enrollment from 48 children when we started to 69 today, which is a phenomenal success for a couple months of intense focus on enrollment, right? So he went from 48 to 69, but this is not a full-time equivalent number. And so what does that mean? Well, he's not really feeling the cash flow that he should be feeling from this substantial increase. This is like a 70% increase in enrollment, and he's not feeling that. And so I asked him, why not? And come to find out when we dig into the numbers that he actually has increased, almost all of this increase has been in part-time children, and most of them are coming 3 days a week. So this is something that you really need to focus on if you want to maximize your enrollment revenue. And it can be a major problem for many of you because in this economy, parents are looking to shortcut their costs for childcare, and they may be supplementing the days that they normally would have been with you with grandparents or other situations, less expensive situations. So it's a big deal for you. And so how do you figure out full-time equivalent, and how do you know that you're doing it properly? So let me explain that to you. So if you're running ProCare software or several of the other child care management softwares, that the software will typically provide you with an FTE report that will do it for you. So the software will calculate it for you. But you also should be looking at what is the software basing that calculation on. Because the way that I understand that ProCare does it is that, which I think is pretty accurate, is that you want to look at, of all your total children, so he's at 69 now, of the 69, he's at 36 part-time and 33 full-time. Okay? Hopefully you can see that. So, how do you calculate FTE from this? You look at your full-time. So full-time children are with you at least 40 hours a week. Okay, so that's what you would consider to be a full-time. And if they're with you for 60 hours, you don't count the 60. You just count them as a 40-hour person, child. Okay, so to get to the full-time equivalent, you're basically converting all of the hours that children are in your program up to 40 to consider that to be a full day, which is 40, right? So you want to look at, of your total children, so these are the steps you want to take. How many children do you have total? So in this scenario, again, there's 69 children, so just apply this to your situation. How many are full-time, meaning they're there for at least 40 hours a week? That's 33 in this example. So in this case, his FTE here is 33 of the full-time, because these are full-time equivalent kids, 40 or more, okay? So 33, 33. That's easy. The hard part comes with the part-timers, and what you actually have to do is you have to add up the number of hours here in your part-time and then divide by 40. So let's say that they're all pretty much coming 3 days a week, which is, let's say they're coming 8 times 20, let's say they're coming an average of 25 hours a week, right? So you want to multiply 36 times 25 to get to however many hours that is. So let's say it's 600, and not doing the math, but let's say it's 650 hours. And then you want to divide it by 40. So your full-time equivalent is 40. And so you want to divide your total number of hours for the part-timers by 40, okay? And then that will get you to your number of kids there, and then you add it to the 33. So his full-time equivalent, he's got 69 total kids, but he's probably only got around 49 or 50 or something like that. And so he grew his enrollment from 48 to 69, but his full-time equivalent has only gone up maybe 5 or 10%. And that's why he's not feeling the cash flow and the revenue that he wants. Okay, so your assignment on this week's video lesson is to figure this out for your program. And if you've been looking at it in your system, if you depend on a software to create it for you, just look in and see what the assumptions are there. And I would do the manual calculation and make sure that it's accurate. Make sure that your system and the software that you're relying on is calculating this the way that I just took you through it, because that's really the accurate way to come up with a number, okay? And again, I believe that that's also the way that ProCare software and most other softwares figure it out. But for those of you, many of you aren't using child care management software, and so if you're doing this stuff manually and you're just assuming that your full-time equivalents are following in your enrollment pattern, that's a wrong assumption. So I want you to reassess this, figure out how much money you're leaving on the table, and then what you might want to consider doing is limiting your part-time and matching up your part-time. You probably need to be more strategic. Instead of just taking all the part-timers, you need to be more strategic and take the time to match them up and give guidelines and set the expectations with parents that you only have 2 more part-time spaces left, and in fact, at some point in time, you're going to reduce them from part-time to full-time. You'll give them the option to stay with you and move to full-time, or else you're going to have to start reducing your part-time slots for cash flow reasons. And you can absolutely do that and should be doing that. So if you want to give yourself a window, you could say that by the end of September, we're going to be reducing and capping our part-time slots to 25% of our program. And everybody who falls out of that, and you could do it by how long they've been with you or some other priority system, needs to start thinking about either going to 4 or 5 days and improving your cash flow. You're the business owner and you're the driver or the director. You're the driver of this situation. So don't leave this money on the table. Make a strategic decision to go after more full-time kids and match up the part-timers in a more effective way. Okay, so I hope that's been helpful. This has been Chris Murray with a lesson on full-time equivalent, and we'll talk to you soon.